TL Travelers, and welcome back to the TL Travel YouTube channel. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the family. You might not know that we have just returned from some travels in sunny Mexico. We spent some time enjoying some foodie adventures in Mexico City and also in Puerto Vallarta for my younger sister Taylor's wedding. It was absolutely beautiful. Taylor and Alex, congratulations once again. I love you so much. But with the wedding and all of the beautiful posts on social media, a lot of questions were coming in about wedding related things. And if you saw our last video about our little wedding disaster, you might know that Derek and myself went through some, let's just say, difficulties when it came to our destination wedding. And I really wanted to share some stories with you guys so that I could help you guys kind of avoid the same issues, and also just for some pure entertainment, because it's finally been enough years. I feel like I can talk about it without having a full-blown anxiety attack. So you probably already know it by the title of this video, but today we are talking about our wedding video disaster. And oh my gosh, it's one of those, you gotta hear it to believe it. Not only do I feel like by telling this story, I'll be able to hopefully help some brides to be in planning their destination wedding, your destination wedding if you're watching this, but also for someone who is a wedding photographer or videographer, and coming from someone who now does hotel videos and other professional camera work, you know, there's some professional life lessons, business lessons. There's just some all-around lessons to be learned from this story. So if you have not already hit that subscribe button or that like button, definitely do it. We post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday. If you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a comment and let me know why. And without further ado, let's just hop right into this disaster of a story time. So if you do not see my last story time, you might not know that my husband Derek and I got married in Costa Rica. We had a destination wedding, as we are from Canada, live in Canada currently. Absolutely love Costa Rica, beautiful location down in the south, ocean views, perched up in the jungle. It was amazing. We also had an amazing photographer for our wedding, and I did talk a little bit in the last video about just how worth it is to vet your photographers and just like have a really good one. Now, this is advice that I probably should have used for my wedding videographer. Now, for the sake of this video, we are going to call him Jeremy. And basically what happened for our wedding was we had our photographer all picked out, and we also wanted to do a wedding video because my grandparents weren't going to be able to be there, and we were also having a very small wedding. We decided to have a small wedding of only about 30 people, and there were a lot of people that we both really wanted there that couldn't be there. So we felt like having a really nice wedding video would be a great way to share that with our friends and family who either weren't able to be there, like couldn't travel, or that we just weren't able to invite for one reason or another. So we definitely wanted to have a cinematic wedding video, but also at the same time, this was when my travel business was taking off, and also there were some other opportunities for like upcoming videographers in different hotel chains and things like that, both in Costa Rica and Southeast Asia, that I was aware of. So when it came to picking a wedding videographer, I was also sort of looking at it as like an opportunity for someone to maybe get a bit of a leg up in the industry and have the opportunity for free travel and just like a lot of exciting things. And when it comes to situations like that, if I have sort of like a shoe-in for someone, I always like to offer that to someone that I know, so that I can like help out the people that are closest to me, that type of thing, you know? So in this situation, Jeremy actually wasn't somebody that I was super close with, but he was an acquaintance, and he was living in the United States doing some video work and photo work professionally. So I felt like it would be a really great opportunity for him. So in December of 2013, I reached out to Jeremy and I asked him if he would be interested in filming our wedding video. Now, the situation was that we had a videographer who was available, who lived in Costa Rica at the time, who worked occasionally with the photographer that we had hired, and his price to have him come and do our wedding video was basically the exact same price as paying for a flight and for a 4-day trip and accommodations and food and that kind of thing for Jeremy to come down. So I reached out and I basically just said, you know, if you are interested in this and interested in this opportunity, we would love for you to come down. We'll pay for your flight, we'll pay for your accommodations, we'll pay for your meals, and then you would just do the video in trade. So it was totally up to him whether he wanted to do that or not. That was in our budget, or if he was not cool with that, we would have just hired the videographer from Costa Rica. But Jeremy was super excited, super stoked to come down and film the wedding and get some vacation time out of it. Love the beach, good stuff. So yeah, we felt really good about it. So once Jeremy agreed to do our wedding video, I asked if he could please send over whatever it was his contract was, so that I could sign that off. We could make any sort of little altercations. Talk about foreshadowing. We could make any alterations to the contract as far as trade for travel goes and get that all sort of sorted out. He said that he would do that, and then I didn't really hear from him again for a little while. The Christmas holidays came and went. Obviously everybody was busy. And then in February, I did send another follow-up message just asking, hey, like any word on that contract? And he said that he would send it over, and again, he never did. Now, being that Jeremy was a friend of a friend, I didn't want to like push for a contract and make him feel like I didn't trust him. And I did completely trust him at the time, so I had no reason to be like super pushy about it. In hindsight, I really wish that I had, because when it comes down to it, it's still like a business interaction. Just regardless of how it is, they're still providing a service in trade for some form of payment. And yeah, contracts are just so important, people. So friend, family, just get them. So flash forward to our wedding. We were so excited. Everybody arrived in Costa Rica on time. And then we also had Jeremy come in with all of our guests so that he could get settled in San Jose and then come with everybody on the bus to Uvita, and just like be part of the group because, you know, why not? Now, as far as Jeremy's attitude at the wedding, he was great fun. He filmed all the shots that he needed for his video, for our video, and all seemed well. There was no, I mean, I had no reason to be concerned at all. Or so I thought. So our wedding was in November, and then flash forward to the beginning of December, I sent Jeremy a quick message asking if there was any possible way that I might be able to get an ETA on the full wedding video, because I realized again that because we didn't have a contract, there hadn't really been any like turnaround period set in place. And because I was also wondering if there would be any way for me to get a small clip of our wedding ceremony that I could share at Christmas. So I wasn't asking for the entire video by Christmas time. I was just asking for like a really short clip of the ceremony that at Christmas I could share with my grandparents and my family members who weren't able to be there, just to kind of like, you know, ease their minds. And they had been, I don't want to say that they were upset, but they had tried to Skype in and watch the ceremony, you know, via the internet, and that hadn't worked out. So they were just kind of like, they were a little down about not having seen anything. Obviously the photos hadn't come in from our photographer yet either. So I just wanted something to share with them. And Jeremy said that that would be absolutely fine, and that in fact, the full video would be ready by Christmas, which was super exciting because I was under the impression that the turnaround would probably be a little bit longer. So like that was awesome news, couldn't freaking wait. So it was December 6th when I sent the message asking if I would be able to get the clip. It was December 11th when she told me that the full video would be ready to go by Christmas. And then it was December 19th where I got the first ominous message letting me know that his laptop was not turning on, or that it would turn on, but it was just going to a blank screen. So we went back and forth about what was going on with his laptop. He said that everything should be fine and that he was going to take it in, have it looked at, get everything fixed up, and then there would be some delays, but there shouldn't be any problems with getting the video to us, you know, eventually, just a little bit late. And I tried to be as understanding as I possibly could. I absolutely did not want to freak out or jinx anything or like panic for no reason, because, you know, things happen all the time. And obviously with videographers and photographers, you know, you have the footage that you take in on your camera, and you have it on external hard drive, and you have it on your laptop, and you sort of have it saved in different places. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, so the problem is going to be if this laptop doesn't turn on and if he's not able to recover that video, there's going to be some pretty big delays because he's gonna have to start that edit all over again. And it does, you know, edits like that take time. So while I was a little bit nervous, I was definitely trying to keep a positive attitude about it. I didn't even really mention the situation to Derek because I didn't want him to panic at all. And yeah. So on the 3rd of January, after the holidays had come and gone, I got a message from Jeremy letting me know that there was still some problems with his laptop. He still was unable to get it to turn on, and when he took it into the store to have them look at it, they weren't sure either. So he was editing on a Mac, and he was gonna bring his laptop into the Apple store to have like a genius take a look at it. My very good friend Joe, he works for, or he was a genius at Apple. I mean, he's a genius. He's always been a genius. But he was like an Apple genius. And he basically said, yeah, that's a totally good idea. Make sure that he takes the hard drive out or swaps the hard drive before he takes the laptop into the Apple store, because when you take a laptop into the Apple store, generally they will wipe it and they take no responsibility for loss of data, loss of any of your, like, nothing. They take no responsibility for any of that. So on the 3rd, I got that message. On the 4th, I sent the message back saying yes, but definitely swap out the hard drives. And then on the 20th of January, I received the message letting me know that he had received his laptop back from okay. So January 20th, I got the message letting me know that he had received his laptop back and that all of the information on the laptop had been wiped out. Now, back when we first had the conversation about his laptop not turning on, I had asked him if he had an external hard drive, and his response had been that he did, but not all of the footage was on that hard drive. Now, what I came to learn on that day was that when he said that not all of the information was on that hard drive, he really meant that he had backed up none of that information. He had transferred all of the footage directly from his camera to his laptop, wiped the camera card, and then he had not backed up that footage onto a hard drive, external hard drive. So what was on the laptop was all that there was, and all of the video footage from our wedding was gone. Now, before I move on with the story, because believe it or not, that part is not even like the biggest part of this disaster story time. I do want to say that Jeremy did seem genuinely apologetic for the whole situation. He felt very bad. He offered to edit a video comprised of like all of the sort of raw video and photos that people had taken on their own throughout the wedding, so that we would at least have something. So there was sort of like a willingness there to try and remedy the situation. I mean, but like, how can you? So we're gonna fast forward to March though, because March is when things started to get wild. Basically, with this situation, this videographer situation, we had paid for Jeremy's flight, accommodations, and food and transportation during his stay. And as a part of a wedding gift to Derek and I, our family had pitched in to pay for those services. So not only did we pay to have him there, but also our family members had sort of used that as an opportunity to give us a wedding gift. So their money had also gone into this whole situation where no service had really been rendered, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So I basically woke up on the 13th to a message explaining that Jeremy felt that because he did film the wedding and because he did take the time out of his life to be there, that he didn't owe us any money for that trip. He felt, and I quote, that he lent his talents and time without compensation, which I absolutely disagree with. We provided him with accommodations and transportation and food and flights at the same value, if not more, than what it would have paid for us to have a professional videographer from Costa Rica come down with our videographer. So we did put that money forward, and it was expressed right from the start that this service would be in trade for travel, accommodations, etc., etc. So we have put our trade forward and received nothing in return. So that is why I do not agree with that at all. But if you feel differently, feel free to let me know in the discussion down below. And then he did say that he in some ways agreed with us that, you know, we didn't get what we were promised, which I don't know about some ways. We 100% did not get the service that we were promised, but that it was not his fault because it was Apple's fault. And with that, I would like to get to the basic 101 photography, videography lesson of the day, which is you always have your footage backed up in at least 2 places. So when we travel, we have all of our footage on the SD card in the camera and the laptop, or if it has been wiped from the SD card, then we have it on the laptop and an external hard drive. So if anything was to happen to any of the footage that we had been either paid for or that we had promised to a business in trade for travel, because we do that as well, same thing, that we would have it backed up somewhere so that we could still provide the service that we had promised. Because at the end of the day, is an interaction, whether you are paying in cash or you're paying in services, it does not change the fact that you are required to deliver the deliverable that you promised. So while it was the fault of Apple for wiping the hard drive when they said that they would not, it was also Jeremy's responsibility, as he had been warned to swap the hard drives before taking it into Apple, and probably should have backed up all of the footage to an external hard drive or an SD card, you know, at any point between the wedding in November and when the laptop broke on December 11th. So on March 13th, I did end up sending one final message to Jeremy just to express my disappointment and also to try and assist in having some of the expenses paid on his behalf refunded to us, because again, we did not receive a cinematic wedding video. And yeah, I'm not gonna read the whole thing to you because it's super, super long. So what I said was, I understand that you feel like you shouldn't owe my family the entire amount of your trip because you lent your time and services. However, if you were hired to produce a music video and did not provide them with a product, do you honestly think that they would owe you anything, that you would even get an hourly wage for showing up? In addition to the money that my family is asking you for, I also paid close to $400 for services that we are not asking back from you. So basically what I mean there is that we had provided the accommodations, the flight, meals, transportation, a bunch of other like kind of smaller things. And my family basically had said if they could get the money back for the accommodations and the flight, that they would be cool with that. So in addition, I paid close to $400 for your other amenities that we are not asking for back, which I think is generous considering the fact that I have now only received a raw 3-minute clip of our wedding ceremony and nothing more, because he did pull the small ceremony clip to give to me to show my grandparents, which I can't even tell you how happy I am that I begged for that clip, because having that moment on camera is the only thing that keeps me from literally losing my mind every time I think about the fact that like none of that video came together. I feel that it's unprofessional that you are blaming this on Apple in hopes that that will make everything okay. Sure, they absolutely messed up when you took it in for repairs, but you also should have backed up that footage long before you even returned to the United States. Had you told me, yes, I will film your wedding, but I will not back up my footage, I would have put an end to that contract, which I put in quotations because he never sent the contract, right then and there. And it baffles my mind to know that you are using the excuse that you could not back up in Costa Rica because you did not have an external hard drive, but that you also did not back it up when you returned to the United States. So no, my family is not being unreasonable in blaming you instead of Apple. This was your job and your responsibility, and ultimately the blame does fall on you. I also need to clarify that the reason that I did not take you up on your offer to edit the travel footage when that was put on the table as something that you could do to make that up to me was because I was under the impression that this would be something that you would be doing as an apology and trying to make things somewhat better. When I was informed that it would be as a substitute for my wedding video and no payment would be given back to my family, I declined the offer because I can easily throw together a slideshow of random video footage all on my own and do it less than $2,500 plus. Nothing will ever make up for the fact that this wedding footage is gone. For my family and for Derek's, the wedding video was the most important thing. We have huge families that we are close to that could not be at our wedding, and that video was for them. Okay, it's just super long. It's gonna make me very emotional. But essentially the end of that message is just the fact that when you are getting married, the day goes by so quickly and you don't remember every little bit. You just can't. I tried to remind myself to do my very best to stop and enjoy each moment, but there was also a sense of security in having a videographer there where I knew that I was going to have that to look back on, and maybe that was partly my mistake, but ultimately he was to blame. And I want to put it out there and make it known that I am saying this as somebody who has done work, videography work in trade for travel services, and I know full well that if something was to happen to that footage, I would be responsible for the refund of the amount of the services that were provided to me in exchange for the content that was not received. That's just how it is. So I do think that it's important that you know that I'm seeing it from both sides and that this is still the way that I feel. Ultimately, we did end up getting part of the price of his flight to Costa Rica back, so it wasn't much compared to the overall expense, but it was something, and unfortunately that friend of a friendship, acquaintanceship has ended. I apologize for getting a little emotional a couple times there in the middle. I definitely did not see that coming, but you know, it still does hit a little close to home, obviously, and I am still, you know, I really would have loved to have that, and it is a day that you only do once, so, you know, pardon me. And if I can impart any wisdom to you guys, if you are planning a destination wedding, basically just make sure that you know exactly who it is that you're hiring. And if you do choose to work with a friend of a friend or a family member, you need to be prepared to treat them the same way that you would treat a professional, and vice versa. If you are a business professional and you are doing trade work, or you are working or providing a service for a friend of a friend or a family member, even if you're providing that service for free, you are still acting as a business. You are still providing the service that you are professionally trained to do. And if it's a wedding, you don't get a do-over, so think that one through. But that's gonna be it for me today and this wedding disaster story time. If you missed my last wedding disaster story time, because this wasn't the only problematic situation that we went through, I will be sure to link it up above so you can go and check it out. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you love travel content, if you love story times like these. Let me know in the comments down below. And until I see you guys in my next video, stay great, travel safe, stay great, travel safe, and I will see you in my next video.